In the previous video, Suho's father had to have emergency surgery, and the boy traveled to the USA to be by his side. I'm Nina, and in today's recap we will watch True Beauty. When Suho arrives at the hospital and goes to meet his father, the man says he's sorry about everything that happened and didn't think he would have the opportunity to do this. The boy took care of him and left his sorrows aside. His father commented that he had promised to buy them something delicious to eat the next time they met, but his son calmed him down, saying that when he gets better, he can do that. After a month, everything is ready for Suho to return to Korea, and the protagonist is looking forward to it. His father is now more stable, but he still won't be able to travel long distances. However, when the boy arrives at the hospital, the man is being rushed into surgery and will have to stay in the hospital for a while longer. Due to Suho's concern for his father, he didn't even remember to tell Ju-kyung that he wouldn't be able to return now, as they had agreed and the girl was waiting for him at the airport. A few days have passed, and the protagonist's last year at school has arrived. As soon as classes start, she discovers that Soo-jin left the institution while they were on vacation. Ju-kyung is dedicating himself a lot to his studies to pass the entrance exams and had a setback when he got sick. The girl even ended up in the hospital. So when Suho had some time and called his girlfriend, he discovered that she was hospitalized. The girl's mother answered the cell phone and informed him, and the boy got nervous. After all, the two most important people in his life are in the hospital, and he can't do anything to change that. However, in the next few days, the protagonist had already improved, and when the two talk on a call, Suho brings up the subject of the end of their relationship. The boy doesn't think it's fair that his beloved keeps waiting for him. He doesn't know when his father will get better and he won't abandon the man, but he also doesn't want to trap Ju-kyung in a relationship in which the boy can't be present for him. Even though the protagonist put her foot down and said that she would save money to go visit him and that she would also wait for him, Suho had already decided, but it was certainly something that broke his heart to do. A few days later, Ju-kyung goes to the comic book store and notices that there is something written underneath what she had written when she was little. Suho put it there that he is not a crybaby, a nickname she had given him, and wonders when the girl will realize who he is. He added that on the first day of snow, he will go to the highest point of the place to make a wish that the girl will remember him. They say that the first person to touch a snowflake will have it come true, and who told him that? She was the protagonist when they were little. As time passed, Ju-kyung started sending messages to the boy, telling him about his life, even though he didn't respond. After the entrance exams, the protagonist thought it was time to leave him alone. We see that Ju-kyung got an internship with a celebrity. However, the person was not a very pleasant figure. She treated the protagonist badly and kept bothering her so that she could get a date with Seo-jun, who was now a crowd sensation after his breakthrough in the music world. At the class meeting, Ju-kyung gets drunk and starts talking about her problems at work. Soo-ah is the one controlling her, and we see that she is no longer dating Tae-hoon. At one point, the protagonist is almost asleep at the table, and they are wondering where Seo-jun is, as the boy who was responsible for Ju-kyung. After everyone is a little dizzy, Seo-jun decides that it's time to take the protagonist home. However, on the way, he needs to stop to give the girl water, otherwise, she'll throw away everything she drank. As soon as they are seated, Ju-kyung asks him to go out with the artist she is working with so that the protagonist does not have to suffer so much at work. However, Seo-jun says that he has already refused and asks her to stop asking him to date other women. The boy can't believe that she still doesn't know how he feels about the two of them, and so Seo-jun pulls her in for a kiss. The next day, the boy is at the protagonist's house. He ended up sleeping there because it was too late and her mother insisted that he stay. When Seo-jun is leaving, he asks if she doesn't remember what happened the night before and says that they kissed. However, we see that in fact, after the boy pulled her away, he didn't continue and then went to her house. Seo-jun asks his beloved friend to forget what happened and what he said to her. The boy didn't want to declare himself to her like that, so he says that one day he will bring up the subject again, but in the right way. And Ju Young is together with Go Woon. The two will find out today if they went to the college they wanted, and the first result to be read is that of the girl. Go Woon passes by and is so happy that she ends up kissing the boy on the cheek. She adds that they should even go on a date. However, as soon as Ju Young's result is read, the girl takes back what she said, as he didn't pass. The news in the family is that Hee Kyung and the teacher are engaged. However, she doesn't fantasize about a wedding like the man and therefore doesn't pay attention to details like the dress, etc. Which makes the man a little upset. Meanwhile, Seo Joon and the protagonist are going out for dinner, so he meets her at her work and brings her flowers. The boy takes the opportunity to cut the artist who treats Ju Kyung badly. He catches the jump that the girl had thrown for the protagonist to fetch and throws it even further, then says that since the artist has hands, she can go get it. Seo Joon takes the protagonist to a beautiful restaurant, and there he confesses once again that he likes her, but now he goes deeper and says that he has felt this way about her for 3 years. The boy wants to be given a chance to win her over and asks the two of them to go on 3 dates as a man and a woman to make this happen. After dinner, Seo Joon ends up buying medicine for the protagonist, as she wasn't feeling very well, and we can see that he takes very good care of her. At Ju Kyung's family house, the teacher is preparing a surprise with their help for Hee Kyung, and the mother decides to warn her daughter about it so she can pretend to cry a little and show more sensitivity, which is why your fiancé misses you. The protagonist decided to go to the highest point in the city to make a wish. As it started to snow, she came across a man very similar to Suho. However, when he turned around, we saw that it was not the boy. But the protagonist finds him there and is speechless. He is the one who goes to the girl and tells her that he went to the place as soon as he landed. Suho says that she returned to Korea because she missed Ju Kyung. And the protagonist lies when she says she didn't feel anything, then runs to leave the place. However, it happens that Ju Kyung, on the way, starts to feel sick, and Suho takes her to the hospital, where the news is given that the protagonist is like this because of constipation. With great shame and after being released, Ju Kyung hides inside Suho's hospital, and at the first opportunity she has, she goes home but is still hidden from the boy. However, she ends up ruining the surprise for her sister when she walks through the door in her place, and Hee Kyung wastes no time, arriving at the scene crying, showing that she is moved. Seo Joon decides to go to Suho's house, and the boy discovers there that his loved one and his friend ended up meeting by coincidence earlier. And the next day, Suho waits for the protagonist to leave to accompany her to work. However, the girl is confused about everything that is happening and simply runs out to catch a taxi. At work, the boy shows up to do his hair, and Ju Kyung is already feeling uncomfortable with his presence. When the end of her shift arrives, Suho is no longer in the salon, and on the street, the protagonist ends up running into Seo Joon. The boy invites her for another date, which she accepts. The two go skating, and Ju Kyung ends up scratching her hand, so Seo Joon buys a bandage to put on it, which reminds her of when Suho took care of these little details when she was injured, and the girl says that she herself can put it on. They had bet on an ice race when the girl ended up getting hurt, and as soon as they were in front of the comic book store, about to say goodbye, Seo Joon won. He decided to use her wish and hugged her. Suho leaves the store at that moment and comes across the scene of the two hugging each other. Seo Joon waits for the boy to leave his sight to say goodbye to Ju Kyung. And he ends up meeting him when he is returning home. The two go out for a drink and put the truths on the table. The next day, the protagonist goes to the agency to wait for Seo Joon to leave his rehearsal. She sends a message saying that she needs to talk to the boy, and when he comes down, he says that he can't go on a date today, but for Ju Kyung, she saves what she wants to tell him for the next time they meet. Seo Joon once again shows himself to be a really nice guy and says that Suho plans to return to the USA, adding that the protagonist should go after him. Then the girl ran to Suho's house, and Seo Joon went to the stairs to cry. At Suho's residence, she hugs him as soon as she sees him and asks him not to go. At that moment, the protagonist discovers that it was Seo Jun's lie that Suho was going back to the other country. And Ju-kyung even decides to leave after that, but the boy offers him a ride home. In the vehicle, the protagonist asks, since he was going to return to Korea anyway, why he ended the relationship, and Suho responds that it would be very difficult for her to wait for him all this time. But she explains that it wasn't easy for him to go through the breakup either. Until he was thinking about a way to return, even if his father didn't get better, and the boy apologized for making his loved one suffer. On the way to Ju-kyung's house, things are calmer between the two, and Suho confesses that she liked her when they were both little. Before saying goodbye, the boy gives his beloved a kiss. The next day, the protagonist goes to dinner with Seo Jun, and he already knows what the girl is about to say, so he says that everything is fine. He always knew that she hadn't gotten over Suho, and that's why there was no room in the room. Her heart to him. And he adds that Ju-kyung doesn't need to worry, his debut is almost here, so Seo Jun won't have time to think about her anymore and will get over it. At work, the protagonist needs to impose herself on that artist. The girl doesn't want to go through the same thing she went through at her old school, and when she does that, the artist's driver pushes her. At that moment, the most unexpected thing happens. Soo-jin appeared with his moves and taught the guy that he should never mess with the protagonist again. The two go out to talk, and after that, we discover that the girl and her mother went to live abroad at an aunt's house as her parents were getting divorced. Soo-jin recently returned to Korea and wanted to apologize to Ju-kyung for all the pain he caused her. Being away from her father made the girl realize the wrong actions she was taking. And so the two made peace. Hee-kyung meets with Suho. The two talk about the song he made with Se-yeon. The woman wants to release it again to erase from people's minds what she was plagiarized for, and the boy wants to have the honor he deserved. Suho explains that she never studied music, but Hee-kyung encourages him to at least try, because if the record company doesn't like the boy's version, they simply won't release it. Regardless of the final result, Hee-kyung believes that Suho, with the pseudonym Leo, will be a big success. So as soon as Suho gets home, she works on the project. Meanwhile, the protagonist was not fired from her job, but on the contrary, her boss even thought her stance was right and ended up dismissing the artist for her mistreatment of the salon's employees. In the next few days, Ju-kyung decides to participate in a makeup contest to work within a company with bigger artists through the salon, and Suho finishes his version of the song he made with Se-yeon and sends the project to the company. On her day off, the protagonist goes out with Soo-ah to buy an outfit to wear to her sister's wedding, and then the two get skincare at Ju-kyung's house. Her friend thought Ju-kyung was going to date Suho, but she explains that the boy is going to meet Taehoon and says to let them have fun. However, the protagonist thinks that until she goes on social media and sees a photo that Taehoon posted saying that they were going to heat up the night in a bar. The two run out to find these boys and pull their ears. However, when they find them, they actually go to a sauna and have some drinks there. Suho is very dizzy, so much so that he even looks silly, so Ju-kyung takes him home. Instead, after placing him in bed, the girl notices that on the boy's lamp there is the collectible sticker that she had given him for his first birthday that they spent together at the comic book store, and in the end, the two end up falling asleep. When the protagonist wakes up, it is already very late, and there are several calls from her lost mother on her cell phone, but there is also a message from Soo-ah, who is a true friend, saying that she told Ju-kyung's mother that the girl I was sleeping at her house. Even so, the two even try to order a taxi for the protagonist to go home. However, it turns out that there are none left on the street at that time. So Ju-kyung ends up staying, and the two spend the night lovingly. The next morning, Suho cooks for his loved one and returns to her the tale he had picked up at the comic book store at the beginning, when he revealed that he knew who she was. And the protagonist is surprised that he still has the object. In the next scene, we see the recording of Suho and Se-yeon's song. Seo Jun will be the one doing the vocals, and it is a great tribute to the boy, with his two best friends included. After Suho and Seo-jun go to eat something together, Suho reveals that she is thinking about studying music so she can compose her songs better. And Hee-kyung's wedding finally arrived. On the same day, the results of the contest that Ju-kyung participated in also came out, but the girl ended up not passing because she wasn't as experienced as other participants. Soo-jin marked her presence at the place and apologized to Suatu. In the bride's room, she tries on the ring before the wedding to see if it fits. However, it ends up falling under a piece of furniture, and when Hee-kyung goes to pick it up, she ends up getting her head stuck. So the way was to go in with the cage around her neck, and as Hee-kyung doesn't get hung up on these details, she was happy and enjoyed her marriage that way. They both have a lot of fun, and so does everyone else present. And in the next few days, the debut of Seo-jun will take place. The protagonist's boss is doing his makeup, and Ju-kyung is acting as an assistant, getting whatever the woman needs. The girl receives an opportunity to finish her makeup, and her boss even engraves her name, which is wonderful since the woman is famous and this will open doors for her. In Seo-jun's presentation, everything went very well, and he was incredible. Suho was even moved to see her friend becoming what she always wanted and that they managed to honor Se-yeon. In the end, our couple, Suho and Ju-kyung, even as adults, continued to go to the comic book store and spend hours there, just like they did when they were children and teenagers. What did you think of this season? I hope you liked the summary. Leave your suggestions in the comments and subscribe. If you liked the video, like and share to help me. Until next time.